That was nice.
What?
That was nice and easy.
What are you talking about?
We've just had Wirecast issues the last couple of times.
Oh, well,
It's nice when it goes smoothly.
it is nice when it goes smoothly. Absolutely agree. So we are on episode 41,
Yay!
Creating Connections podcast. Who ever thunk we would reach episode 41?
Well, you got two reds that decided we were going to do something, so
This is true.
it's going to happen.
If you want to know more about the colors, you can go to VickieMusni.com, pick up a copy of Vickie's book, Personalities for Business, or if you know a favorite educator in your life, it is the Christmas season, pick up Personalities for Educators. They make great stocking stuffers, providing you have a stocking big enough to fit a book in. Shameless plug.
I have a little one that just says no candy, just cash on it. I've had it since I was a teenager. My mom still hangs it up when we go home for Christmas.
Nice. Yeah. Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor.
Certified Personality Trainer Vickie Musni.
And you got episode 41 of Creating Connections podcast live in your earbuds or on your screen. Wherever you're watching us, thank you for
joining us.
Taking time out of your busy day. And today we're going to talk about literally a conversation that happened to me today, believe it or not. So I had a local wedding pro. I'm not going to say the affiliation or anything like that, but a local wedding pro friend who contacted me literally today, about an hour or two ago actually, and she asked about cancellations and how you handle them.
Oh, always a fun topic.
Yeah, and she hasn't had a cancellation before, so this was something new to her.
And this is someone who works independently, owns their own business, is a single op service provider. Nice mug.
Thanks. Some crazy lady got it for me.
Can't imagine who would think you're a pig.
I can't imagine who would think I'm a pig. So anyway,
continue.
She calls me up and says, "Oh, I don't know what to do. This bride, she's calling to cancel my services because they're becoming more fiscally responsible." First off, there's nothing wrong with that. I try to be as fiscally responsible as I can. In fact, I just recently hired Jason Spencer, who is a certified Profit First coach with Mike McAllister's book, Profit First. I strongly encourage you to pick that up if you haven't done so. So I don't want to bash being fiscally responsible. That's not what this topic is about.
Shouldn't you do that before you make a decision, though? I don't know.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes. Well, again, so that leads into the story here. They made a decision to be more fiscally responsible about a year after they hired her. They hired her 11 months ago. So
the wedding is not till this coming summer.
The wedding is not till this coming summer.
Okay.
So the reality is that, they've held the date, or this vendor has held the date for 11 months. And now the client wishes to cancel, which isn't the wedding pro's fault.
Nope.
The wedding pro has held the date for 11 months. The wedding pro has possibly turned away business.
Did you ask her that?
I did ask her that. And in fact, she has turned away business for that date and can prove it. So there's some questions that she asked. Well, have you ever given money back in those situations? And I first told her, listen, I'm not a lawyer, first off. I've been to court and I've won, and I've been to court and lost. And I don't really enjoy saying those phrases, but that's the truth, that I have been to court with a client and been on both sides of it.
Us too.
And so the reality is that it's not a pleasant conversation. It's not something that you want to deal with, but this is the reality of owning a business and treating it like a business. So the first question I asked her was, what does your contract say?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second question was, okay, how long ago did she book? Because if someone cancels in a month after they book and you still have another 12 months to make up the money,
Yeah.
okay, you can talk about maybe being a little more lenient there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is you've held this date for 11 months.
Yeah.
This woman's contract did say that the client reserves a date versus a product or service. So, yeah, the reality is that, you know, in my opinion, my decision on that would be there's no refund
Mm-mm.
because the fact that she has reserved a date in the contract, she has held up her end of the bargain, she has turned away other events for that date. And so we have to look at this from the
Well, I agree with everything you said. Before you go on, let me ask you a
sure.
question. Would anything change for you? Would you feel at all differently if the wedding was being called off versus
No.
them just changing their mind?
No.
No. I was just curious if that plays into it at all. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that everything else you said is still true. You know, she turned away business. They, have had ample time. I was just curious
I
if
have
that.
given a full refund once in my life. The groom died.
Yeah, that's different.
That's different. Sorry, that's different. And not to be a stickler, that's not it. Now, have I postponed and pushed off monies? Yes, absolutely. I had a bride and groom, sweet, sweet bride and groom. Oh my gosh, I did the groom's sister's wedding. In fact, it's one of the parts of the book, Sales for Event Pros,
Hmm.
where we talk about the very first wedding that launched my full time business was his sister's wedding, ironically enough.
Okay.
And the groom was diagnosed with cancer, and so they needed to postpone the wedding. And I told him, I said, look, don't worry about it. We'll push off, all the funds. You want to do another wedding next year? I get it. You got to get legally married now to get the insurance. I get
Yeah.
it. No worries. We'll just push everything off a year. There's no penalty. There's no rebooking, even though per the terms of my contract,
Yep.
I could have said, no, that date is the date. You prohibited me from making money on that date, and you have to book a future date. Per the terms of my contract, that's what I should do. Is that what I did? No, it's not what I did,
Because you do have a heart.
I do have a
But
heart.
it has to be cancer or death. Is the primary.
Wow. No, I do have a heart. And the reality is that this is our podcast title, right? Creating Connections. And so the reality is I already had a previous relationship with that family. And so I knew what they were going through. I had already had, a previous, like I said, wedding with
Yeah,
that
a
family.
connection.
And also in this case, that is why this person is so concerned. This fellow wedding pro is so concerned because this is her first time.
Hmm.
Her first time dealing with this.
I have
And
another question that came to my mind when you were talking about this situation.
yeah,
Because I know that you are really, really good at creating those connections all throughout the process.
yes,
If you book a wedding 18 months in advance,
yeah,
I know that you are keeping in touch with
yes,
those people. You are building a relationship. You are making touch points with them
yes,
all along
at least
the
once a
way.
month.
And honestly, part of me is like, have they heard from her in the last 11
And
months?
that's a
What is
good
leading up to
question.
this buyer's remorse
Okay,
at this point? Do they feel like they have no relationship?
yeah, that is a
And
good question. And that is something I did not address with this person.
but that's just, me being devil's advocate here. It's like
No,
I'm not saying that she should still give a refund, but
yeah.
what could she have done to prevent that situation from
Well,
happening?
and again,
Perhaps is she connecting?
she also asked, well, have you ever, like, if I rebook the date, have you ever refunded like a partial refund or something if you rebooked a date? And I told her, I said, yes, I have. but that's if I rebook the date.
Yeah.
And normally at that point, it's a 50% refund. Does it say it in my contract? No, it doesn't. But again, I have a heart. And the reality is we keep 50% because of the fact that we have already reserved that date. We may have been able to book a higher dollar package for that date versus taking the one that we ended up with.
You've already put work into it too. You've already begun the planning process. You've
Yeah.
already had at least one meeting.
Yes.
And, you know,
and so, yes, there's circumstances there. You may or may not have had a meeting, whether it's a phone or in person. You may or may not have other materials that you've gone into play with, whether it's creating a script, whether it is timeline creation. There's a lot of factors here in regards to that, and depending on what kind of wedding pro you are as well. For a photographer, they may have an engagement session into it. You know, if you're a florist, you may have a first design session into it. There's many different things that you may or may not have into it. You may have placed phone calls to your suppliers to see if those flowers that they wish were in season or not. There's all kinds of things that can come into play here. It's just a question of, you know, how you handle it, what your business protocol is. And again, don't be afraid of the connection, because you want to maintain a connection with that client. Absolutely. And I know this person's concerned they're going to badmouth her, which is sad. But I think if you have maintained a strong rapport with that person, if you've kept in touch once a month kind of thing as you go through the process, then and you have a conversation with them in regards to the contract signing, you're reserving a date. Dates are like inventory for us in the wedding and event industry. You know, once you book June 4th of 2016, once it's gone, it's gone. I can't recreate it again. I can't resell it again. Have you run into this at all in your business, Vickie, and how you've handled it?
We haven't had that particular situation, but we had one where the wedding was called off just recently. But it was far enough in advance. It was still within the terms of contract. And it was a little bit different because it was a friend of a friend. And so, I don't know, I went ahead and gave the full refund. And even that was awkward because I had to like go back and look at the contract, and I had both of them messaging me separately, and I ended up just refunding half the money to each of them and mailing separate checks to different addresses. So that was
interesting. Yeah, because who paid?
Well,
do you keep copies of the checks?
Yeah, it was.
Whose credit card did you run?
They were both, when I asked the question about how I was supposed to handle that, I asked them both separately, and they were being civil about it, at least. So they both said, oh yeah, just send half to each. And then we had one a long time ago, but the wedding was called off like 3 weeks before, and she took us to court. And that was when we found out there were some things that needed to be revisited in our contract. So
court can be a learning experience.
Yeah, that it was. That was a very long time ago.
Yeah, I had the court one that I lost was actually with an agent of mine that I used before in the past, and it was a learning experience for both of us. And yeah, I'll just leave it as that.
Yep, that's enough said on that topic.
But the point is,
I think thinking about what you need to have a good policy in place. You need to be clear. You need to make sure that you're doing your due diligence to communicate clearly up front.
Yes.
And but yeah, then you can't just leave it. Keeping that ongoing connection is so important, because hopefully most of the time those situations can be avoided. I mean, obviously it's different if the wedding's called off and then you have to deal with that according to the contract. But in this case, I feel like if there had been a stronger connection, why would they be changing their mind?
Well, people can change their mind. People can change their mind. I don't want to say she didn't have a strong connection because I don't know. I'm assuming she does because I know what kind of person she is at her core. But the reality is that
maybe they just realize they're super in debt and they need to make some changes. I don't know.
And that very well could be, but that also is not your fault as the wedding pro. You held up your end of the bargain. You can't be afraid of standing your ground and if they go out and badmouth you, they go out and badmouth you. But you ran your business how a business is supposed to be run, and you not being taken advantage of. And that's the other side. And if they really, liked you, agree with you as a friend, if they look at you as an advisor, which is to me what you should be building as the expert in your field that they hired, then they should understand, even though that may not be in their favor for an outcome, but they got to understand that you're running a business. The airlines don't sit here and refund money just because, oh, well, I'm being more fiscally responsible now and I can't afford it.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, that doesn't happen. So the reality is there's insurance for a reason. There is wedding insurance for a reason, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And, something that people need to be aware of and just to think about as you're creating connections with your clients and with contracts and cancellations. And that's a whole lot of C's. Creating connections, clients, contracts, cancellations.
Yep, it works.
That's episode 41.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm Gitomer Certified Advisor Mitch Taylor.
I'm Certified Personality Trainer Vickie Musni.
Come see us in Tampa. I'll be speaking at the Tampa chapter of the American Disc Jockey Association coming up on January 25th. Mm-hmm. And Vickie is presenting in Phoenix. Is that correct?
Yes. February the 9th and the 11th.
Awesome. And then I also will be, looks like, speaking to the Minneapolis chapter of NACE as well. Right after that. So that's going to be
15th?
February 15th, it looks like. So,
fun.
And of course, the big one coming up, the granddaddy of it all, Mobile Beat Las Vegas. And did you hear?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. When I read this last night, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
What did I miss?
Guess who is speaking after yours truly on Tuesday?
I don't know. Tell me.
Red Foo of LMFAO.
Fun.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah, he's doing Party Rock, the seminar, apparently.
Okay.
Which ought to be interesting, I think. So
it's gonna be a fun show.
Can I now say that I opened for LMFAO?
I suppose you can. Technically not till March, but yes.
Right. Yes. Exactly. I have to survive till March, 15th, whatever it is.
Fun.
But go to Mobile Beat Las Vegas to get your tickets for that show. We look forward to seeing you there. You can check out Vickie's workshops and books and products and everything available at VickieMusni.com.
And your stuff too. Go ahead, plug your own stuff.
I was waiting for you to plug my stuff since I plugged yours. See, I plug you, you plug me. That's how it works.
MitchTaylor.net for products and upcoming workshops.
Okay. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.